Hey guys, we are live. It is Monday and I am exhausted. I did actually move this weekend, but we had a funny thing happen with our internet. It is probably the oldest internet in the world. The people who lived in our house before didn't really use the computer and didn't care so much. So we have no real internet. So I came in the office to do these lives today. And I'm super excited because I have a great group of people waiting in the background for us. So we're going to talk to them. But before we do, I want to remind you that if you could please go to burgersandbands.org and make a donation. We just officially canceled Burgers and Bands. We put it up on Facebook that it's officially canceled. We will hopefully do one in October. We want to do something in between now and then, but we have to figure out what we're going to do based on what's going on in the world. So in the meantime, we're still helping schools. We got a $2,000 grant going to, I think it's Crofton Elementary School this week. But really, we're running out of money. So if you can donate at burgersandbands.org, we would love it. When we go through today, we're going to ask, I'm going to say to you, you can ask questions. Please do. Please do. You can watch this on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. YouTube, we need subscribers. So YouTube/Brennan Annie. You can follow us over there. And then we're going to get right to it. Chamber of Commerce. We have so many great people. Look at this. We have Beth Nowell from... Actually, Beth, why don't you tell us? Beth?
Oh, hi, I'm Beth now. I'm with I'm the CEO of the Northern Anne Arundel County Chamber of Commerce. Great to see you guys today.
Awesome. Beth, do you have two monitors going? Because I'm hearing you twice.
No.
Okay. So if anybody else has two monitors going, try to turn that one off. I'm going to switch over to Liz Lee. Liz, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thanks so much, Anne, for putting this together. Liz Lee, the CEO of the Greater Severna Park and Arnold Chamber of Commerce.
Awesome. And Alissa, hold on, you're down here.
Hi, everybody. Alissa Santora, Greater Crofton Chamber of Commerce.
All right. And Karen.
Good morning, Anne. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I'm Karen Russell with the Central Maryland Chamber.
Awesome. I'm going to put you all back up like this because I want to tell you something. Look at this. How many women? How cool is that? Four women from the chambers. And actually, Karen, you're not a CEO of the chamber, but the CEO is a woman there as well, right?
Yes, Christy Simon. She just started about 2 weeks ago. So very exciting.
That is so cool. How much things have changed that we have all these women. And because I remember the chamber growing up, it was an all men's club, really. So look at that. I'm loving it. We wanted to talk today about what's going on with COVID. And you guys, I think, did everybody send out a survey, each of your chambers?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that and first and how it's affected people and who you've seen as far as the industries, which industries you've seen most affected. Liz, let's start with you.
Sure. We actually sent out a second survey a couple of days ago just as a follow-up to keep our finger on the pulse of who has actually applied for stimulus. And surprisingly, some of the members are still holding out. We are actually encouraging them to take advantage of the stimulus packages because it's not going to be over when it's over, and it's going to be a long recovery process. What we have found is the industries, obviously the non-essential businesses, the hair salons, and all of the businesses have been significantly impacted one way or another, and organizations. But, you have some that are completely closed down with no revenue coming in at all. So the hair salons and some of the stores that were not prepared with any kind of e-commerce setups. Some are trying to set up e-commerce, but it's really difficult. This came on so fast and furiously and really has seriously impacted our business community. And so people are just, obviously the restaurants are working to carry out and delivery, but it's just not the same. It won't be the same for a long time.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I agree. Beth, you and I have talked a couple of times about hair salons in particular, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
they're a very unique situation, especially in the light of now they are trying to figure out if they can reopen just for essential workers that must maintain a certain hairstyle or haircut. So you're going to probably start seeing that in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about? Actually, Ethan came up with this idea. He said, why don't, to make money at this point, they should charge and say, for $40 paid today, we'll give you first dibs on haircuts.
Well, that's a great idea. I have one hair salon that is been selling hair coloring kits.
Yeah.
That specified to how you've been having your hair colored, so you don't end up looking so much worse. And they do that either by delivering it to your door, or you pick it up outside the salon. And then we have a salon that is looking at, like I said, reopening just with the salon owner, just for essential workers. They have to have a piece of paper signed by their boss saying you must cut your hair, you must maintain this. Only one person allowed in the salon. We're waiting to see if that's going to be acceptable to DLLR, and there's no charge for that service, but if a person wants to pay something, that would go towards paying the employees that no longer come in.
Right.
So they're trying all new ways anyway.
Right.
To help the customer and help their own business as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, hold on one second. Karen, can you tell me who have you seen most affected?
I mean, I would agree. It's the businesses that aren't as easily adaptable to a virtual service. One thing I feel that chambers, we're talking about chambers of commerce this morning, we are able to be a promotion, a voice for them. So I've been, I'm sure as my other counterparts, reaching out, calling, talking to our members and providing them ways to promote themselves. I was talking to a member who's a Jiffy Lube, right? And they're providing opportunities for people to literally just stay in their car while they get an oil change, and trying to provide, different ways, and so they're not going to be sitting in a waiting room.
Yeah.
And then obviously the businesses, the insurance, IT, financial, the mortgage, those folks are incredibly busy. So I agree with Liz. It's one or the other. Some businesses, everybody's feeling overwhelmed, but it's kind of one spectrum or the other.
Right. No, yeah. In our office, we're completely reactive right now. We're just completely reactive, which means we're busier than ever because we're like, I just said Cinco de Mayo, who has 4 different restaurants here, they decided this weekend they got permission to sell 96 ounces of margaritas, which is woohoo, right?
Yes.
But we had to switch things up very quickly to get that up there for them.
Yes. And restaurants, yes. We've got a strong relationship with Fort Meade, and so they've recently said, look, we'll help promote restaurants. So we let our restaurants know, hey, this is what's happening, and if we're doing anything special for military. So it's those kind of things, just quickly trying to react. And I think with virtual platforms, you're able to also move quicker and provide that.
Yeah, exactly. Alissa, how about you? Have you noticed anybody in particular that you're like, gosh, this industry, if we could help them?
I think everybody has the same sentiments, even businesses that are doing well or have been very busy. I mean, a lot of those businesses have still had to do some cutbacks either in staffing and things of that nature as well, which is a challenge because, everybody wants to be fully staffed, but with all the pivots that are happening all the time, that's not always able to happen. And then the other thing is, I mean, even I'm sure my colleagues can talk about this sentiment too. It's interesting in the chamber world that the things that we're hearing, because, it's sometimes easy to forget we're a small business too. So as we're going with, rolling with all the punches and all the different things that are happening, we're talking to our colleagues across the state, across the country, and chambers are already having to close their doors as a result of all this, just because they don't necessarily also have those finances, and yet, we're here and trying to support all those small businesses accordingly and make sure that they have the resources necessary at the same time. So it's just been a challenge across the board, I'm sure, for everyone. So, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of the same things that my colleagues are seeing as well.
Yeah. So I want to come back over here and tell you a couple of things. So Kurt Jackson said, now is the time to build your business. Working with chambers can help. And that's such a great segue for what we're going to talk about next, which is, what are you doing and how can you help? How are chambers actually, not just you, but how are chambers actually helping? So I'm going to go, and I'm going to give a little bit of an answer for Beth and just first. So let me go back to Beth first so I can give a little bit of her answer as well. Sorry, it sometimes takes me a while to find everybody on here. There you go, Beth. Beth, one of the things you did was you called us and you said, hey, we want to really advertise our clients, our members. And so now you're feeding us names and we're putting them out there in posts, right? So that you're using your social media platforms to help.
Yes.
So, but what else are you doing? Because I know you got a lot going on behind the scenes.
It's funny. The role that I think CEOs in particular have played in the chambers have expanded in different ways. And part of it is our advocacy. I know we've always been, advocates if there was going to be a bill that would affect how a small business earns their income or pays their taxes. But now I found myself thrown into the advocacy role at federal level, at state level, and at local level. And I spend hours on the phone or on Zoom chats with people that are either legislators or even the controller. I'm always on the phone with them as well, looking at ways if the federal and state programs aren't working, how can we all have a voice in that and get it fixed? Keeping them all aware that although they're looking at millions of dollars and billions of dollars behind every decimal mark, there is a real business, a real person that's attached to that and being really affected by this, just like everybody else is. I think that one of the greatest things that I've seen, and it really gives me great hope for the future, that maybe we don't go back to work as normal, is the fact that I have been able to empower my members and my board to begin programming, carry out things so it's just not the CEO, making the calls and always being the face. I have my members are the face of the chamber.
Oh, I love that.
It's so exciting to enable people and watch them really grow. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I'm thrilled because our members are our best resource.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
And I thank you, Wayne, for working diligently to get us in there. I just had a small business, a small veterinary business, in the middle of this whole COVID-19 crisis. Graduate from Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses program. And at the program, I introduced my chamber to last year because it's a semi-annual program. And I'm thrilled to see that in the midst of all this, one of our small businesses got picked, went through it, and is thrilled. So
that is great. That's great news. Thanks so much, Beth.
Welcome.
Alissa, how about you? What are some of the things that the Crofton Chamber is currently doing?
Well, first of all, I think and I think my colleagues can also say this to the same sentiment. I mean, we've really come together. We've always been kind of a close-knit group in recent years and trying to collaborate. And I think that collaboration to be able to bring more programming to our members as a whole, to be able to, like Beth said, empower them, get them, hearing the folks that they need to hear from. Secretary Schultz was on with the multi-chambers just a couple weeks ago. So we're really trying to make sure that those resources are out there accordingly for our members, of course. A lot on my side, I've always been a huge community community outreach chamber between the farmers market that we run, the festivals on the green. We have a huge consumer component. So right now I've been trying to make it a point to get those businesses in front of the consumer population. We just had our multi-chamber blood drive, which was a huge success across the board. They haven't seen so many donations. Each chamber had over 35 viable donors, which is amazing at each of the locations. So we were thrilled for that. They're looking forward to working with us again. We're just really trying to bring different programming. We're going to be doing a chalk contest here in Crofton on a single day where we get a variety of folks doing different messages accordingly, bringing that consumer component in and just trying to bring hope, not just to the businesses, but to just the general public. We're opening the farmers market on Wednesday, obviously with COVID-19 measures in effect. So that's taken a lot of different time and different pivoting in terms of our business model, because that is something that we've been a part of now for the last 3 years. So we're thrilled to be opening that and really just making adjustments. I mean, a lot of the things that we do in the Crofton Chamber are large scale events, 3 festivals a year, the Taste of Crofton, all of those kind of things, which are pivotal really to our financial side of the house. And so, with that, we've kind of just tried to make adjustments, come up with different things that we can do. So we've been doing a food truck initiative as well that we're trying to launch and help with, just getting different food trucks in neighborhoods, getting them working, because we have a great relationship with probably 40 or 50 food trucks in Arundel County. So it's just a matter of trying to get everything out there, getting the businesses in front of the consumers and helping the businesses every way we can as well. So. Yeah,
no, I think that is really great. And I was wondering about that because you do a lot of big events, and we do, all of us do the multi-chamber events, right?
Absolutely.
So there's so many things that really, we just canceled burgers and bands. So it does have an effect on all of us in so many ways. Liz, I'm going to unmute you. I unmuted you because there's something going on with the sound. So I'm so sorry. I'm unmuting you so you can answer that same question for me.
I have the lights on too, so I'm not sure why it's so dark looking, but anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll get better as time.
You're in witness protection, Liz. Nobody knows.
There's my nose and mustache and glasses.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Actually, you know what? Before you start, I want to go back and say to some people, there's a lot of people watching this right now, and I am watching the comments, so I'm going to put some of those up in a few minutes. But if anybody else has questions they want to ask anybody in particular on here, please leave a comment and let us know. Also, let us know what your small business is. What small business do you own? Because we're all here to help. Everybody here on the call is here to help. So Liz, tell me what the Severna Park Chamber is doing.
Sure. Well, I do want to echo what Alissa said, about us running a business too. And we are pretty much in the same boat as our businesses. And similar to the Crofton Chamber, we do a lot of outside events. And obviously those events have been postponed, as we like to say, not necessarily canceled. We are on hold for the 4th of July parade. That's one of the big events that we put together. And we're just, one day at a time, waiting to see what's going to happen with the cases, if large social gatherings will be allowed to take place. Hopefully in July they will. But 4th of July parade is one of our big signature events that we do.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see. We had a shop local event that was supposed to be this past week. We had rescheduled it to a couple of weekends farther out in May, and so that's been postponed to October. But back to your question, we want to be the hub of information for our members. And so we've been studying about stimulus packages, what's going on from the federal and state and local level, what's available to our members, staying on top of who's getting the relief, trying to encourage people to apply. And we also want to be a huge part of the reopening. And again, back to what Alissa said about working together as chambers, because our chambers are so granular in our market, my target market and my members are totally different from Beth's chambers, for example. So that's why we have so many chambers in Anne Arundel County, because we do function. We have a different target market, but
Right.
we come together and work together. And so we are all going to work together on the reopening plan.
Awesome.
And hopefully help businesses understand what they have to do from a liability standpoint, security, what are the protocols they have to follow from a safety measure for their employees and their customers? What are the liabilities? What are the phases, and to help open Anne Arundel County, not just our own target market.
Right, exactly. Karen, I'm going to come to you in just a second, but I want to put this up here because I think it's such a good idea. And anybody who knows me knows that I am all about getting stuff done as soon as the idea comes across. So let me just give you this idea. Will the chambers consider a collaborative open house virtual event so we can attend as guests and meet a large number of other businesses from many counties? So what do you... Well, and let me preface this with, I love the chambers, but also I have a client, Kurt Jackson, who's asking another question, who did an event. We had almost 100 people on that call, and it was really neat because he did these breakout rooms. So did anybody else attend? Oh, well, Karen, Beth.
Oh, I'm doing one on Tuesday with Kurt, Lake Chesapeake.
Yep. Yes.
So I'm getting ready to send out the second notice today. So.
And margaritas are not mandatory, but they are suggested.
So, and I think a lot of us do work with Link already as well. So it's just another outlet for our members. Many of us work with Jerry from BNI. I think it would be something that we can all talk about, certainly, because we've already kind of looked at different options. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be from other counties right off the bat, but definitely being able to put on a multi-chamber breakfast in sorts wouldn't be impossible to do, simply because we do have the breakout room opportunities. We've been using the breakout rooms as well at mixers. So that is something we can look at potentially, I would think, for maybe beginning of June, if everyone can agree to that. And we can kind of look and see what we can do so we can bring that multi-chamber aspect that everybody's become accustomed to, that we haven't been able to do as of yet. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, and I think that's something that's huge. Karen, let's go to you real quick, because I kind of skipped over what is the Central Maryland Chamber? What are you guys doing right now with your biggest focus?
Well, what I was going to say, I think, chambers of commerce really provide a community, right? And it's been assuring for people, I think, that you're not alone. And so as a chamber, we were able to provide a resource and content. And it's kind of funny that last comment or question was about multi-chambers or multi-counties, because we technically do represent Anne Arundel, Howard, and Prince George's counties. We have members from around the area. We've been providing on our website, a central place of resource for everything from federal, state, focusing on the 3 counties that we primarily provide support for. I think that having a virtual platform, is allowing all of us to provide content in a much quicker way. It's giving our members an opportunity now to be subject matter experts and giving them an opportunity to showcase themselves. They're sharing valuable content, but at the same time, they're getting their company name out there.
Right. So
in the past, where we might have only done something like that once a month, every other month, to have a member be able to present content, now we can do it every week.
Right.
So I think in some ways, this, like I think one of my colleagues said earlier, hopefully I think there'll be a blend, right? There'll be a blend of virtual, and we'll get back to the face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually that kind of leads into the next question, which I said we're going to have to think on our feet, because I'm going to throw some things out there that weren't in our little talking notes ahead of time, because mostly I was moving this weekend and didn't have time to get my talking notes together. So, but man, by the way, that is super tiring. I don't recommend moving if you can do it. It was exhausting.
I did it 10 times in 20 years. It's not fun.
Oh, yeah. When I was growing up, we moved all the time, but this is the longest we've ever been in a house. And this move was like, oh, that's why we didn't move. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you've all had the opportunity to see a lot of great people businesses doing great things during this. And so I was, thinking about one that in particular in my mind is Fleet Feet Sports or Fleet Feet Running. If you've ever had your shoes fitted for you by somebody who really does a good job, like Fleet Feet, it's a time-consuming thing. They sit there, they really take care to fit you. But now they're doing it virtually, which I thought was pretty amazing to watch them do it virtually. So that's one of the things I thought was really cool, is to watch that particular business. Are there any businesses that you want to call out and say, it's been really cool to see how they adapted?
I want to call out the Grill at Quarterfield Station. Now, they've always been a restaurant that people like to go to for, breakfast time. It's power breakfast. You see a lot of business deals getting done. Same thing for lunch. And they have a wonderful dinner. But when this hit, they literally reorganized what they thought the restaurant was by not only changing it to drive-by curbside service, they created a new kind of market and allowed their restaurant to also serve the entire community, not just restaurant, patrons they normally would serve.
Right.
And it's amazing. I mean, people were able, if they're afraid to go into a big store, they were able to get, and they still are, paper products, some cleaning products, food, meat boxes of beautiful fresh cut meats, from Baltimore, delis, everything that you would need more than just a restaurant. And that really, they were able to turn it around so quickly. I just got to take my hat off to and say, always thinking. They're always thinking, and they have never left, lower their level of quality and service. So.
Right. We lost Karen. Hopefully she's going to come back on. I don't know what happened, but somehow we lost her. Liz, how about you? Is there something?
Actually, we have a couple of restaurants that are using their suppliers to get it's like toilet paper. And,
Yes.
And it's really, really interesting to see they're opening these markets. One of them, Cafe Mezzanotte, has a beautiful
right.
grill, has a great. We also have a Decorap. And I don't know if you're familiar with Decorap, but she makes these beautiful handmade, light and airy material shawls. And she decided about a month ago, when she was hearing about the shortage in masks, she's got all kinds of industrial equipment and things like that, and cutting machines. And so she teamed up with, I think they're up to about 85 sewers, professional sewers that are all vetted. And they're making these masks, and they've made thousands of masks that they've supplied to Anne Arundel Medical Center, the nursing homes, the detention center. Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation is contacting us on a weekly basis for additional masks for various places. So, and actually they've done such a beautiful job. They're going to be selling some of their masks at the Cottage, which is a fantastic store, little shop here in Severna Park. But
that's right.
A wonderful initiative.
Yeah, that is really great. I've been watching her as well. It's pretty amazing to watch what she's done. Karen, how about you?
I know. I've got so much going through my mind, and I'm trying to think of all the individual companies. We've got, meeting planners that are now trying to, doing their meetings virtually. We've got Salt on Main, a new shop on Main Street in Lowell that is actually has a lot of, health benefits. They're shifting to doing, gift certificates and helping, trying to figure out a way to, kind of try to help people virtually, but it's really hard. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There's so many people doing so many. And actually, I want to go back, Liz. I want to tell you one of the ones that I've had the most fun with is Vita Taco, because they are bringing their margaritas around, which I think is really awesome. That's like an ice cream truck for grown-ups. So I think that is awesome. Alissa, how about you? Anything you've noticed from people?
I mean, I see that a lot of the restaurants are helping with programs like Feed Ann Arundel, which is huge. A lot of people, like they said, making masks. One interesting one that I actually just saw on the news, which is one of our members as well, is Robert Andrew. They're doing dye kits to go, like with professional hair dye, and then donating the proceeds to charity, which I think is really kind of neat. So I did see, I actually saw that they didn't send it directly to me, but saw it on the news instead. But really, I think everybody's just trying to step up and help each other everywhere they can. Those that are seeing, stronger business right now are then in turn trying to help those that maybe are struggling more. And I just see people just across the board that are just trying to help each other, which is a great sentiment. When these restaurants are struggling themselves and then they're still able to donate food for programs like that, it's just a wonderful thing to see in general, and shows how the community is really trying to come together to help each other. So.
Yeah, no, I really love watching that. And then the one thing that I've enjoyed is seeing that people get that, yes, there's a lot of negative here. There's a lot of negative, and yes, it's great that we've got people helping each other. But the other thing is, some of the things that are coming out of this is that businesses are going to grow because they have implemented things they didn't think of doing before. And I like that. I feel like a lot of my clients are doing things that some of my restaurants were like, I'm never going to deliver. Delivery's right out, and suddenly they're like, hey, that's something we can do that makes it much more personal. Or Park Home started delivering, right? And they said, oh, I think that the logistics of that are just too hard. Well, now they're doing it, and maybe they'll continue to do that. So maybe it'll be a whole new stream of income. So I really do think it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news.
And I have to absolutely agree with you. And that's all part of preparing ourselves. When I say ourselves, I mean all of our businesses across Anne Arundel County in particular, to reopen business. Because even if you can reopen tomorrow, businesses, the way you do business has forever changed slightly.
Yes.
In some cases, a great deal. And so when we are all part of the Federated Maryland Chamber of Commerce. Some of us have been working with them to create a new guidebook to help businesses reopen when they can. Things they can think about. You talked about, I don't want to do delivery. Well, yeah, it does open a whole new can of worms, just from the insurance liability standpoint. So I think that, now we are tasked with helping each other, help all of our businesses,
Absolutely.
Understand the best practices for reopening our business. And like I said, the Maryland Chamber just put out one. It's a great read. It reminds us of things we hadn't thought about thinking, but to remind us also we're part of the bigger cog. And so as our governor deems it's ready to reopen, we can start powering up and support each other. That's the greatest part about Anne Arundel County Chambers. We all do work together. We share members. We share the same problems. And chambers themselves are not eligible for funding.
Right.
For grant funding. 501c6s. The U.S. Treasury, Steve Mnuchin has not changed his mind yet about adding us to that. And so when you talk about challenges, how do we suddenly reopen and be able to do our signature events if the governor says, well, you can't have any more than 5 people or 50?
Right.
Some of our events are 800 people, 1,050 plus. I mean, so how many dates can you move something to before someone, your audience goes, I'm tired of chasing that around the calendar.
Exactly. So, let me say this too. I think that that was a good point. The cogs are going in my head. I need to come up with I need to find people to interview in a group like this for the best practices for reopening. Yes, so Yeah, after this, if you guys have some ideas of who I should have on, if you want to come back on, if you think you've got, some great answers you think you can give, please, let me know that for sure. So before I'm going to unmute, I've got two of you muted because we were having some serious microphone issues. So before we go, does anybody else want to add anything? Yeah,
I just want to say thank you for having us on.
Oh,
It's nice to be in a platform where we can kind of, obviously talk to our business folks that are out there and just be able to tell people not just about the challenges we're seeing in business in general, but even within the chamber world. I mean, there is a lot going on there as well, kind of behind the scenes, that it's also important for those businesses to kind of see and understand, because we want to do everything we can, and we're doing everything we can to make sure you have the resources necessary. And like Beth said, we're facing very similar challenges to everybody else. So
yeah, that makes sense. So Liz, did you say you had something as well?
Yes. Now is the time to use imagination and creativity. And what I'm saying to businesses is pretend like you're opening your business for the very first time ever. Throw out the budget, go on a 90-day budget. Try to cut your costs where you can. And another thing I wanted to add is, I know that I probably speak for all of us. We are not just working for our members, but we're working for all businesses. So
Yeah.
Such a crisis situation, and we want to help however we can, whether they're a member or not.
Yeah, I see that in all of you. I see that in every one of you. So thank you. Actually, let me go real quick and clear something up, because I think it's important to her. Decorap says they're not selling their masks. They're giving them away with a purchase at the cottage. So they want to help the cottage, and then they want to help people get masks. And she's been amazing. I'm absolutely, she does things that she's called to do. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm going to go back over and say who we have coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Michael Caimona from Warrior Music Foundation. He's going to talk about, during this time, how this has affected nonprofits. Clearly, Burgers and Bands is near and dear to my heart. Warrior Music is another one that's near and dear to my heart. And we've both seen, right during a time where people need to talk about mental health more than ever, we are not able to get ourselves out there. So he's going to come on and talk a little bit about what we can do to help Warrior Music and some of the things that they're doing to try to still help their veterans. So that's up tomorrow. And I'm going to head back to my house at some point today, and I'll be back in the office tomorrow because no internet. And I'll talk to all of you guys then. But I really appreciate this. When I ran into Karen at a networking event online, and she said something, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we should have all the chambers. This would be so great. So of course I thought of you four, because you're, my favorite four of the chambers. So yeah, I really love all of you and what you're doing. So thank you very, very much. All
and
right.
you do know you have one more in Girl Power, that next time we do this, Julia House from South County Chamber. I would love to make sure she's involved, because she's wonderful. And she's actually, quote unquote, the most senior in the county, because she's been in the job the longest. So if we can't invite her for the next round, we'd love to have her as well.
You'll all get a lollipop. Whoever sends me her, an introduction, a virtual
I'll send it right now. She's wonderful.
I've never met her.
Yes.
I've never met her. So no, she's not even on my radar out there.
She's a huge advocate in the county. She does wonderful things for the county as a whole. Very big in the ag community down south in the county as well. So we would love to have her, if it's okay with you, of course, but next time, and we'll send you all of her info, because she's wonderful.
That'd be great. Plus, we really want to get into Southern High School, because we know that they've had a really tough year. We are giving them a grant, but they've had a tough about year and a half with losses of students there.
And
so
she will help you with all of that, Ann. She's wonderful.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate you coming on. Take care.
Thank you, Ann.
Bye.
Bye.